what's the valuation of this business compared to the other owners? And that just creates more complexity in a divorce case. So, a big trend that you are seeing with family law firms is when we look at divorces, we're seeing that divorces are getting more complex as the years go by. For example, if we compare back to 20 years ago, divorces were not as complicated as they are today. And a few of those reasons are is one is financial situations of married couples are getting more complicated. For example, there are more people who are starting businesses. And when they're starting businesses, maybe they have investors or maybe they're a partner within a business, which means it's not just a simple business of having, the couple owns the business. Maybe there are other owners. So now we have to figure out like how much is this one person's ownership? What's the valuation of this business compared to the other owners? And that just creates more complexity in a divorce case. And then you also have things where people may not be running a business, but maybe the job they're on, they have stock options. Well, then you get into the complexity of how do we value these stock options, especially if these stock options haven't fully vested, or maybe we look at retirement plans or 401k options. It's like, how do you truly create a valuation for something that is constantly changing? Because if the stock options or let's say the retirement plan is invested in the market, then the market is constantly changing. Like, how do you really create valuations for that? And when you start to look and consider things like that, it makes perfect sense why a divorce can be more complicated today than it has in the past because the number of people who own a business has gone up. Also, when you think about, other complexities around like family structure, you have more people who have come from a mixed family who have gotten married. Well, if there weren't any agreements made before the marriage, or let's say if there weren't any stipulations kind of laid out beforehand, now that's another complexity that has to be worked out. Or we can see that adoption is going up. Well, that adds another complexity of when a couple is getting divorced that has adopted someone. It's like, how does that get sorted out? So I would say more and more we're seeing more complex family structures, more complex financial situations, and all of that needs to be worked out when there is a divorce that comes up. And the last thing I would say is, especially when you have children involved, I would say ubiquitous nature of technology. For example, if one parent wants to restrict a child's use of social media because they're concerned about the negative impact that social media or access to certain technology may have on the child, but the other parent doesn't think so. Well, that adds even more complexity because now you got to reach an agreement about this and now you got to figure that out. So the reality of it is that divorces are becoming more complex because as people, our lives are getting more complex from a financial standpoint, from a family structure standpoint, as well as from a technology or access to technology standpoint. Things are getting more complicated, which increases the need for family law attorneys to help their clients navigate these growing complexity in all of our lives. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Family Law Firm Finance Show. At the end of the day, we make finance less complicated so you can build a more profitable law firm. If this was helpful for you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and follow us for more great content.